Oh, all right. What's up, guys? So we're back for episode 2. It's Friday already. I didn't think it was ever going to come, but here we are. And tonight we got Chris Beazley and Doug Johnson on here, and I think we got everything set up for a pretty successful second episode. Learned from the first one, got some feedback, and we're going to see what we can do here in episode 2. Got some pretty cool announcements for the third episode already after we finish this one up. So we're going to give Chris and Doug their time and let them talk about what they do as race promoters. And I want to hear, from their point of view, kind of, we all know as a racer what we see from the race promoter, but I want to know what the race promoter sees from their point of view. And we don't always get that side. So I think it's something that we all could use and learn from and use it as a positive thing. So like I said, we'll get both of them on here, Chris and Doug, and kind of go from there. But hold on one second, guys. Actually, never mind. Okay. Squeaky chair. Okay, I'm going to sit still. Let's see. Any other news for the week here? I know we got the Bristol Dirt Nationals still are coming up, and then Capital City canceled their practice that was supposed to be tomorrow, their open practice, because of all the moisture they've had. They've had a lot of rain and stuff, so, and snow and ice, obviously. And if you're in Virginia, Southern Virginia, any part of Virginia or North Carolina, and you're still out of power, we're thinking about you guys. I know a lot of you got power back and then lost it, so we'll be keeping an eye out, and hopefully you can get power back again soon. All right. And we're a little early, but I think we're... Yes, sir. How you doing, Chris? Can't hear me? Hold on one second. All right. Can you hear me now, Chris? All right. Let's see. Let me try that. Anything? What's going on, Tate? We're going to see if we can get Chris on here. Lee. Still can't hear me, Chris? No?
Yeah. I can't hear anything.
Can't hear me now still?
I can't hear anything.
All right. I don't know what's going on with that. We had that issue with Matthew last week. Let's see. Let me toy with this real quick, guys. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I just can't hear you.
That's odd. Can everybody else hear me? Tate, Lee, can you guys hear? Let's see. Try. I wish somebody could tell him to log out and try logging back in. So they can hear both of us. Yeah,
I can't hear nothing.
All right, I'm gonna take Chris off of here. Give me one. Sorry, guys, already, and we're having issues here. So we're gonna try and get him logged back in again. All right, yeah, everybody can hear us both fine. I don't know what's going on. Matthew had the same issue last week. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't see anything in the settings or nothing that would mess that up. Headphones, yeah, external mic. I see I'm putting sound out, and cam on the thing. I mean, all right, so we're good on this end here. We'll see if we can figure out what's going on with Chris. I just messaged him and told him to try logging back in, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, we got some. If you guys got any questions for Chris or Doug on here, go ahead and put them on here. I can see them pop up on the side as we're going through. So Tate, that goes for you too. If you got some questions for the man running the show over there. Can you hear me now? All right, that's much better. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and bring him on here. What's up, Chris? How
What's
you doing,
going
man?
on? Finally, I can hear you.
Yeah, I think we had the same issue with Matthew last week, but it was towards the end. It was kind of weird. But we'll try logging out next time we have a sound issue, letting somebody get back in. So that worked. But thanks for coming on here, Chris. We got some cool stuff we can talk about. Like I said, most race promoters don't get to do this stuff very often. I don't know why they don't ask you guys to do this stuff. And I think we can get some good stuff covered. And like I was saying before you came on, you know, we want to get your perspective on stuff. We, as racers, as drivers, we all get our perspective, but we want to know what you guys are seeing, what you guys are going through as promoters to get all of us there and have a successful show.
Right.
So first thing, you know, usually, especially having your issues with the practice for tomorrow, you know, weather's always the biggest thing that we have to fight every weekend. So when do you start looking ahead as a promoter for the whatever weekend? So say we got the spring gobbler coming up. When are you looking at the weather for that? Monday?
I'm already looking at the weather for the gobbler, because you got to prepare weeks out, to kind of know what your track prep is going to be like leading up to the race. So yeah, I'm already looking at that. Thank goodness this week has been great weather. That's able. Ike and Mike and them are going to be working hard on the racetrack tomorrow, and even I think Sunday trying to get some clay dug out of the back straightaway from the infield and putting up on the racetrack. So we're going to be up there doing a lot of work tomorrow and Sunday, and trying to get it ready for next weekend. But yeah, thank goodness for the weather.
Yeah, it looks like we got another nice week next week too.
Yeah, thank goodness. Like I say, we need a couple of good weeks to get the racetrack the way it should be, and it's always important to me to get at least one weekend of racing in before the spring gobbler. So
Yeah, I know that's the big race before the season starts, and that's usually a pretty good cart count. It's going to show you you got your Saturday night guys and you got your big name guys who don't have anything going on, and they want to come out there and race for money because they like Capital City a lot, just like the rest of us do. So, and another question I had, when you're working with these tracks, trying to get these guys to come in and all these drivers to come in, what goes into the scheduling process of this stuff? How many different tracks are you having to work with to make sure that you're having a decent cart count?
well, thank goodness. Doug at Albemarle and Terry Triple T and give me of the new guy that took over Tri County. But all those guys are beyond easy to work with, and we try to work with each other because the biggest thing I hate seeing, not only around here but down south or up north, is promoters fighting and trying to put races on top of each other. Because at the end of the day, all we do is hurt each other and hurt the go-karters. So it's not a good situation for us or the go-karters if we try to put races on top of each other. So working with those guys to try to get them to come my way when we have a big race and get them to go their way when they have a big race.
How early towards the end of the season are you already putting your schedule together so you can kind of give it to those guys and say, look, I got this race coming up next year, this date, I want some space open?
I'm going to be honest with you. It's getting earlier and earlier every year. I remember when I first started promoting, we wouldn't start working on the schedule until January. But nowadays, if you don't start working October, November for next year, you're behind. So I don't ever necessarily worry about the Saturday night dates and that kind of thing until December. But my money race dates, I get out to pretty much everybody sometime October, November, so they know the big dates that I'm going to have my money races on, which stay the same every year. So everybody kind of knows even before I tell them what dates it's going to fall on.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said something about the money races too. So that way it kind of gives us a segue into, I know some tracks are going back to a regular point schedule. You guys have decided to go with money races every weekend. Now, what all went into the decision to go ahead and do that? Are you guys not 100% sure of what's going to happen, so you're kind of iffy about still running points, or?
No, not at all, not iffy. But last year with the COVID, with
Mhm.
only having like a partial season, we went that route, and it seemed to be a lot easier for us, far as not having to, worry about points and worry about, banquets and all that kind of stuff. And the racers seem to really like it because they come spend, say, an average of like $45 to run a class, finishing top three. They go home not only paying for their night of racing, but some extra money in their pocket. So yeah, they're not making any money, but at least they get something going back in their pocket.
Yeah, it's
Um,
paying to get there and drive.
right, exactly. So it seemed to be a win-win for everybody. And also, what I've saw on the regular Saturday night stuff is the tension level went down tremendous because instead of somebody having a bad night of racing and getting mad at somebody because somebody took somebody out or that kind of thing, no points were involved. So they really didn't worry about it. They went back to the trailer, got their stuff ready, and came back the next week. So
Yeah.
it kind of lowered the tension level big time, as far as that goes.
And I know also that it might bring out some different people than normal. So you got guys that don't usually run for points, but you put up, what, $200 for the money class, and that's $200 that those guys are putting in their pocket. So you might get some guys that are practicing for VDKA, a couple more guys that wouldn't usually be showing up. You might get some guys that don't have anywhere to run that weekend that wouldn't normally be showing up. So your class sizes, I feel like we're pretty decent last year running that money series, that kind of money race every weekend. And yeah, I don't think it really hurt any class. Do you think there's any class that could have maybe grown even more from it? Not necessarily. I mean, the Predator.
Right.
That class was pretty large anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, the Predator class pretty much, no matter what Predator class it was, it pretty much paid $200 to win every
mhm.
Saturday night because there was enough go karts. So those guys came and raced, and some of the most affordable racing there is. And like I said, they were leaving with $200 on a Saturday night. So
And honestly, some of the best racing at that track over the last year and a half, 2 years. The clone class has been pretty tough, and I noticed last year there was a bit more clones also.
yep.
You had your comers and goers, but they'd still be there, if it was every 2 weeks or once a month or something like that, just because there's money. But are we potentially seeing kind of the transition where this might stay this way because it's working out? I mean, it's working out for you guys, it's working out for the racers. I mean, is there some way you might consider going back to points, or do you kind of like this?
Yeah, I mean, if it's to me, it's all about the racers. So if the racers say, hey, look, we want to, if a majority wants to points race, I'll go back points racing.
Mhm.
If the majority wants to stay racing for money, I'm all about that too. It's like I said, it's not about us. It's about what the racers want, and
Yeah.
so I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
And I think cart count speaks volumes. You guys I noticed an increase last year with all that money stuff. And the clone heavy class would go from when I was running points the year before, it was six carts on a regular, and then a money class would be maybe 10 to 12. The money class I think last year was like 14 to 15 carts
Right.
for that 200. I mean, that was a good field of carts too. So I'm thinking that money series is something that, I mean, not series, but the weekly money races is something that I think you guys could build on pretty big.
Yeah, like what you were saying before is, somebody that's, they're not racing a series that weekend that normally maybe wouldn't race Capital City, but we're putting up $200 to win. So instead of driving a couple hours to some other racetrack just going,
Mhm.
paying money, they come to Capital City. So like I say, I think the card count definitely was up last year, and from a lot of response I got, it was definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people getting into racing, but at the same point in time, a lot to do with a little bit of cash going back in their pocket too.
Okay, yeah, and real quick, just a little bit different. I know me and you, I've known you for a long time, Chris. A lot of the guys watching, the karting guys, have known you for a long time. What made you when Amelia was making the transition from, I think it was Lee Bradbury to, and Capital City, you guys were still taken care of in Ashland. What made you kind of transition to want to start running both? I know Amelia's closed down now, but it was a lot going on with you guys. What made you want to kind of switch up and do both? Trying to keep that track going, or
That was the one and only reason. Me and my brother and Elaine, my wife, we all felt the same way, as if we went up there and we put in the work and we got the place back up and going. And at the time, Mark Schmenta was still alive, and he helped bring in some of his companies and repaint the place, and we got the place back up, top notch before the year was over. And we really thought somebody else would kind of come in and pick up and keep it running. But that didn't happen, and it was just too much for us to try to keep both of them going. So we had to let it go. But yeah, we strictly did that to try to get it up and going, so somebody would keep it going. Because as you see around us even today, the race tracks are starting to fall off one by one, so it's getting less and less.
Unfortunately, Southside being up there right near you guys too, and Chesterfield shutting down, that's a big hurt to racing in Virginia. And Amelia being gone, that I know you remember that was my home track growing up. First track I ever raced on, and 2011, 2012, the last time I raced there. But I'm really glad to see you guys continuing on at Capital City, because coming from when you were driving to promoting now, what brought you over to wanting to promote races?
My brother.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was happy just being behind the wheel. But yeah, he called me one day and said, I'm gonna take over Capital City, and I need you. And so I wasn't gonna leave him high and dry. So I said, all right, I'll do it. It was a lot of learning, and it's still a lot of learning. It's still a lot of growing. I mean, karting changes year after year, and I tell a lot of people in a lot of series, if you don't change with it, you're going out. Simple as that. So you got to kind of change with it. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like being behind the wheel, but as you get a family and kids and all that, it kind of takes a toll on the racing, just for the fact of, like you had, I think you had Austin White and Matthew Robertson and those guys on last week. Those guys in the shop 3-4 nights a week, racing 12 hours on Saturday, and then turn around and scuffing tires on Sunday. I just don't have time for that with a family. But so yeah, I mean, promoting, I enjoy it for the most part. Don't get me wrong, there's always that side of it that's a little rough. But for the most part, I do enjoy it, especially when you see some of the kids that just begin to start racing and they can't hardly keep it on the track, and then you see them, 5 years later, either winning a big junior race or winning one of the pro clone races, or even some of them nowadays, like for instance Charlie Beals. He was a kid I watched in Junior Stars running around with a little teeny kid car, and now he's running legend cars. So just watching the kids progress and making it up through the ranks. That's what it's all about to most of us.
Yeah, and my nephew Brendan, he's been over there at Capital City the last 2 years since he started. Loves that track, man. Loves it. And especially after that turkey trot win, that was big improvement from that kid. I remember his little sister watching him race and being all over the fence, scared because he didn't know where to go. But he's done a great job out there. And you guys, you and Eddie, and Mike and the flag stand, all you guys have done a great job working with those kids, man. It's been awesome to see.
I will say, when it comes to the kids, you're not going to find pretty much anybody better than Eddie Moore.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Eddie Moore, he takes, look, we're all not perfect, And that's one thing I'll tell any racer, I'll tell any track owner, whatever. Look, I mean, we do what we can do, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We all make mistakes, but you're not going to find anybody that will sit down and take any more time with those kids and try to explain to them what racing is really about. And it's awesome to see what he does with the kids, and like saying, it's great.
Yeah, you guys have a great crew up there at Capital City. Um, as far as when we're going through a race day as racers, we don't see everything that's going on, behind the scenes. Like you guys might have a technical issue, and you kind of got to slow things down a little bit. You got to blow the track off. You got to keep an eye on what the track's doing, so what the track might do in the future if it might break up and fall apart. So what all has to go into a day, and how many people do you have kind of keeping eyes on things so you guys can put on a successful race?
Oh man, yeah, that's pretty much. It's just me, Eddie, and Ike Flag, pretty much watching the racetrack.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm up there all during the week and watching track prep or doing track prep my own self, and so I kind of know what most of the time. Friday night, Saturday morning, I kind of know what we sort of are looking at and what to watch for, and so we just kind of watch for those things. But for the most part, everybody, whether it's me or Ike or Elaine and Scorn or Mike on the flag stand or everybody kind of is. I mean, I got a good crew, and it takes a good crew, so everybody
Mhm.
kind of knows what to look for as far as whether it's track issues or technical issues or whatever. So kind of, if anybody sees anything, they kind of give me a heads up so we can kind of catch it before it goes too far.
I got you. And yeah, you guys have been doing this a good while now. When did you take over running Capital City?
Oh
2010,
man,
2011?
I think it was I think it was 2011, and then I think we had it until 2000 through 2016, and then Hurley took it over for 2 years, and then we got it back.
You guys took a little bit of a break there, and you guys came back and kind of just picked up right where you left off. The good crew, right back together and stuff like that. So it was good to see. And as far as, while Hurley was taking over, is kind of when the Predator came in and became like the big class at Capital City. For you being the promoter now, when someone wants to bring in a new class, or even if a class is kind of dying out, what are you looking for before you cut a class? I know zero carts in a class is definitely done for, but what are you looking for before if someone comes to you and say, "I want this class"?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I probably think a little bit different than most people in that because Saturday night is definitely different than a money race as far as that goes.
Hmm.
For a Saturday night, if you want to add a class and you can have three to five go karts on a consistent basis, I'm happy. I'm fine with that, and we'll run that class. But on a big money race, we need 15, 18, 20 go karts, in that class to make it worthwhile. And nowadays, when me and you were racing back in the day, and when a lot of these racers come up, we didn't have all these classes. We when we moved up from juniors into stock light, stock medium, stock heavy, we ran with those guys, and either we got better or we got wrecked or we went home.
Hmm.
So we didn't have semi-pro, we didn't have you know amateur and all these other classes. We learned to race with those guys. Yeah, we might get crashed a few times because they didn't like what we did. But we learned to race with them, and then we learned to beat them. And
Yep.
but nowadays, a lot of carters, they want to win. They want to win from Jump Street. They don't want to learn. They want to win from Jump Street. So I have a lot of people asking or trying to get classes just so they feel like they have an opportunity to win.
Hmm.
And so I turn them down a lot because I'm not a fan of that. I feel like you should have to run with everybody else and try to earn your way, and that way, for me, yeah, it might have took me a little bit longer to get that first big win or whatever. I remember just going off on a rampage just for a minute, but I remember VDK. I remember to this day, it took me a while to get that first VDK win, and but I'm glad it did, because that first win still means just as much to me today as all the other wins that I ever got, or the championships I ever got, because I had to work for it. And then when I did win, I beat some of the best there is. I didn't beat, just anybody. I beat the best there was. So that meant a lot more to me. And so I'm kind of a little bit more stern on that than probably most promoters or anybody else, just for the fact of, I feel like, just the classes have been broke down so bad, and we have so many classes nowadays. Instead of having the 20-25 in a class, you're having so many more classes with the 10 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because there's just so many classes added, and I don't think it's necessary. And I'm trying to, as I did in the spring gobbler, I'm trying to pull that back in some. I'm trying to narrow that back down some, just for the fact of I don't think it's necessary.
So is there a class that, for especially these big races like the spring gobbler, the turkey trot, things like that, is there a class that you're trying to hang on to? And it's still doing well. I'm thinking I know what it is, but is there a class you're still trying to hang on to and hope it just continues to grow and maybe takes back over as the big class?
As pretty much anybody would tell you around here, probably, is I would love to see the animals come back.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it. I've done a lot of clone racing, but I'm still, man, I love an animal. So so we still run, the animal sprint classes, and still pay decent money for the gobbler. And we have been getting a good crowd. We've been, I think, turkey trot, we had around 20 of them or so. And
it was 25.
yeah. And a lot of guys, and thank goodness for the guys from PA. A lot of those guys come down to run the 2 money races for us. But yeah, that's a class that, man, I would love to see grow. I would love to see grow, because
yeah, I enjoyed the turkey trot. That was great to see that many animals out there.
yeah, the clones are great. I'm not knocking the clones, but so bad. No. But if they could just ever get, a consistency with the parts, this stuff of having to send your motor back to the engine builder every other week or every month to get a new head, a new carburetor, a new this, a new that, because they're coming out with something new. It's driving the cost up for everybody.
Yep, I agree. And now the entry for you guys' class is $25 for every class, right? $25 entry fee for the class entry.
Saturday nights it's going to go to 30 this year.
Okay. Yep. All right. So 30 is just about the lowest price you're going to find anywhere, especially for racing for money every single week, week in and week out. But I think there was, let's see, one more question. I'm sorry, I'm reading over my paperwork here, Chris. I did have one more question. So I know you got out of the seat. Is there one race or a certain event maybe somebody could tell you that they'd let you run and they'd bring you back out to drive?
Well, there's several, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There's several that I would like to run, and I was actually thinking about running this year, but as anybody knows that races go-karts and races competitive, you don't hop in the seat and go win races. You have to be in the seat. You have to be in the seat in shape, and you have to ride pretty much on a weekly basis to run with those guys. And so, yeah, I would like to run a few races, but I'm kind of hanging my helmet just for the fact of I know I don't have a chance against those guys unless I want to go back to racing, hardcore.
I mean, I think you've been around a long time, Chris. You know how to jump back in the seat. But before we get too far, Doug's over here. He's going to get ready to jump in with us, so we get a few minutes with him. Can you hear me, Doug? Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Doug Johnson on here. We'll get a few minutes with you guys together and kind of ask a couple questions for both of you working together. And I know the main question is, so Doug, I asked Chris about working together with the other tracks and things like that. And he says you're having to go further out now when you're building your schedule to talk to these other promoters. So as say Chris is coming to you, is he just handing you, a schedule and saying, I got this race highlighted right here. Can you guys work around this race? Or do you guys kind of just know already which ones you have?
We kind of know since I've been president of Albemarle. I've talked to Chris about his two big primary races and stayed off his dates, and he stays off Havoc for us. So as far as the weekly stuff, I don't worry a whole lot about the series. The Saturday night people are going to be there every week. The people who run the big races are going to leave. So we've always worked together, I feel like.
So when you guys are working with VDKA is the series that you guys are in, both tracks are in together. When you guys are working with VDKA, do they already have the dates that they come to you and they ask if you can run these dates? Or do you have certain weekends that you already know that you have available for VDKA before the season starts?
VDKA sets the dates and then sets the track, and we have to work around the VDKA dates.
Okay. All right. And Doug, Tate told me to ask you who's doing the track for you guys.
We've got magic trolls that show up and do it every week.
I know you guys at Capital City and Albemarle have some of the best track preparers that are, the track preparation guys around. Everybody knows Tate, and if you don't know who Ike and Mike are at Capital City, you go up there and they're very approachable guys, Ike and Mike. Ike's been around a long time doing this stuff, man, and Tate's kind of making his own way, but man, he is making some killer tracks down there at Albemarle. Those Halloween Havoc races are some of the best tracks that you're going to be on around, Virginia and North Carolina. So I think it's pretty cool to see, especially the two bigger tracks that are left. I know Providence I think they're still running some, the American Dream and things like that. But being that Amelia and some of the other tracks are gone, I think it's great to see Albemarle and Capital City still getting the cart count, still getting the series, still getting the events that you guys are getting, and even growing from those events. But as far as I know, Stevie Minson is you guys' announcer at Capital City on a weekly race, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Doug, who do you guys use on a weekly basis as the announcer for a Saturday night event?
We actually don't have an announcer. We've tried to find people to do it. We've got a guy that pretty much runs a grid and hollers to get you on time to that, and that's about it.
We got to see if we can get you guys an announcer for this year, man. I know Stevie, he runs the VDK events, and then he was down there at Havoc too and things like that, and he tries to stay with the bigger events, and I think he goes down south some now too and tries to travel with that stuff.
Yeah,
but
Chris is fortunate to have Stevie. Stevie's a good announcer, great announcer.
He is. He's a great announcer, great guy, and I'm sure Chris remembers when before Stevie came around, there was Russ Wiles. He was very good at that, and I'm trying to remember before. I think Russ was doing it when I started, but these guys stick around for such a long time doing those things that it's hard to put it past, like, find another guy, because if you guys find somebody at Albemarle local, then that person is going to become the voice of Albemarle. You're going to hear that voice every week, week in and week out. You're going to hear that voice, and for their bigger events, they might be taking over for those bigger events. But what would you consider, like, would you need for somebody to take over for that announcing position?
They're going to have to know the local kart racers, local karts, local racers, or get to know them, so they can become. Most of the announcers know their karts, know where they've been racing, know their wins and specs and stuff like that, their statistics, as Stevie does. And that's going to take a little bit of work for somebody to jump in there. To begin with, I mean, just getting them called to the grid and stuff like that, announcing as they go. I mean, we have a scoring system so they could read off of that to see the racers and know the racers' names. It would be a big jump for somebody unless they already know quite a bit about racing to me to get them in the announcer's booth.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys too, both of you, since you're right here, what kind of situation would you guys be in right now if electronic scoring hadn't become a thing, like, and everything had to be hand scored like it used to be? Do you think that could have proposed some issues? I know I can think of one, Chris, right now that I was involved in that could have been an issue because it was pretty tight and we didn't have electronic scoring. Could have been an issue. But are there times when you guys just, when you don't want electronic scoring, when you just want hand scoring, it's easier because the systems are messing up or something like that?
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Is sometimes I love it, and then there's been times where I hate it. But yeah, there's overall it helps us and it helps the go-karters. It's a help all the way around. But yeah, the famous saying is race monitor says. So
Yeah.
Race monitor said this, race monitor said that.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
When it's working and everything's going well, it's the greatest thing ever. But the moment it messes up, you pull what hair you got out and you're ready to leave.
Yeah, race monitor might show you on the pole, but they forgot to tell you there's 12 people in front of you. Mm-hmm. So I had one more. So with Chris, I had mentioned it to you about coming out and racing. I know, Doug, you've raced. How many times you raced down there at Albemarle yourself?
I raced for a few years down there. I started out in a novice flathead class. I even went up and ran with Chris and them one time in flathead. And, I don't think they even had any. They put me out with something else. I don't remember what it was, but you can go ride. And I was like, yeah, I'm not staying out there with those guys because I just started. But we had a good time. I mean, that's always tried to have a good time.
Have you been up to Capitol and raced, Doug?
I ran when box stock was going on. I raced box stock up there a couple times. We went up there for Saturday night races. I've never ran big races, any kind of big race.
All right. And Chris, was Albemarle still kind of on the come up when you stepped out of racing, or had they already been on VDK?
No, I mean I've ran several big races at Albemarle, VDK. Only one. Yeah, I've ran a bunch of other series down there. The only thing I don't think I've ever raced down there has been Havoc. That's about the only big race that I haven't raced down there.
It's a great event. I got to run it a couple years ago, and I've been there every year at least for it. So it's a great event. And you guys, like I said, for working together the way you do, you guys get a great turnout, man. Between the Spring Gobbler, the Turkey Trot, Halloween Havoc. Doug, have you guys thought about expanding and doing like kind of a race somewhere in the middle of the summer so you guys get a second big event?
They think about it, and then I tell them they're gonna have to find people to work on it because one is quite a bellyful between Wes and Tate and I.
I'm sure it is.
It's quite a bit to get done behind the scenes. Chris knows. I mean, he knows firsthand. It's quite a bit to get done. And then the problem with trying to do a second one, that's when you really got to watch your dates as to what other tracks doing this and what they're doing, because that's the one that's going to get your carters.
Yep.
Yep. And my wife just commented. She said, "Thank goodness for the ladies in the tower," and she's right. I know Elaine's been around a long time. And Doug, who have you guys got down in the tower down there?
We've had 3 different people. I think Tiffany Sproul's supposed to come back this year and score some more. We had the registration ladies leaving us, so moving the scoring lady to registration. We're playing a little hopscotch.
I got you.
Trying to keep all spots filled, keep everything rolling.
Yeah, the wife's trying to keep me in line over here. So, and I think we're gonna get ready, Chris, to give a one-on-one with Doug here. Is there anything you wanted to say before you get off of here?
All I really wanted to say is, like I say, Spring Gobbler was March 20th. If you haven't got parking, please do so now. You can call Lisa. You'll see her phone number on Facebook or website or wherever. It's posted a little bit everywhere. But yeah, get your parking because it's going fast. It should be the way parking already is. It should be a strong event. So we're looking forward to it. And if anybody has any questions, whatever, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to answer them.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'll share that event I'll share that flyer on the page here also too. So you guys, if you haven't got parking, get up with Chris, get up with Lisa, and follow along on the page. I'll share all the info before that event starts up. And Chris, thanks again so much for coming on here, man. It was good talking to you.
No problem. Appreciate it. See you later, Dave.
Yeah, man. See ya. And Doug, Mr. Tate's been. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Tate's been following along with us. He said you're doing it all.
No, I can assure everybody that it's way more than me doing it.
Yeah, Tate's such he's a character, man. He's a great guy to have around your racetrack, and to be as good as he is working with your racetrack, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
But
Tate does a great job with the racetrack. He's about got it figured out.
I'd say so. And then you got Wes. You know, Wes knows pretty much everybody, so it kind of ties all of you guys together. Yeah. But I asked Chris, and I want to ask you too. What if you're thinking a successful day? Are you having Tate and Wes and yourself and the scorers in the tower all looking over the track, make sure nothing's going on, or do you kind of let Tate like run the track and you guys do whatever you have to do outside of the racetrack itself?
Yeah, Tate is normally race director, so he race directs. We have 2 corner flagmen, a head flagman, and a scorer that keep eyes on the track, or try to keep eyes on the track. You can't never watch everything, but I normally run around doing everything else.
Yes, it's a lot of problems that pop up.
Saturday night events normally aren't too bad. You get to sit around a lot. This year, Taylor, we're trying to get Taylor back racing at Albemarle again. I've been so tied up being president and doing different stuff around there that this year we plan on running a full season Albemarle this year. And I'm gonna hang back. I'm not gonna quit being president, but I'm gonna hang back from the stuff that I was doing.
Yeah, you got a good crew down there. I think they can kind of pick up a little bit if you have some things you need them to take care of. You got, like I said, you got a really good crew, just like Chris does. So yeah. I think you guys again are 2 of the better ran facilities around. So as far as like if you're going through, I asked Chris too, and I'm just, if you agree, you can just shake your head. The week before, is that about the time you're checking the weather, or are you checking the weather like now for a big event that's coming up maybe 2 weeks from now?
A big event, I will check the weather probably a month out.
Yeah, Chris said he was checking.
I start watching it. The Saturday night stuff, I don't take it to heart till Friday. You can stress out all week long about the weather. It changes constantly, and come Friday morning, I'll start paying attention to it and see what's really going on.
Yeah, that's something that you guys have no control over, man. I mean, to be honest, it's something as a racer, I know myself, I've been mad at the race promoter or race director for canceling an event, but it's something you guys have no control over that, man. You're trying to look out for everybody. Nobody wants to sit out in the rain all day at their trailer and not being able to do anything.
Well, we raced. I was involved in car racing more than go-karts. We started car racing in 1990, and we raced them for forever, it seemed like. But one of the things I always hated being at the racetrack was going there and getting wet, getting rained on. So I normally err on the side of not getting people wet. That's my big thing. If they're calling for a good chance of rain, I try not to get them wet because I used to hate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I feel the same way. I'd rather somebody cancel an event than let me get wet. And we got a question here from Chris Dyer. He's asked if the Predator class is going to be EL or HT3. Are you going to still have both?
They still have both.
Still have both. There you go, Chris.
So I'm still going to give his son a trophy too.
You hear that? Your son's still getting a trophy. And I know, honestly, from all the different things, between iRacing, racing myself, whether it's on Xbox even playing, I know a lot of the guys at Albemarle, man. I run into them everywhere. I mean, David Nettles and we started hanging out on Xbox, and Lee Sears, we started hanging out on Xbox. Chris Dyer, same thing. You go to GeForce Kart, somewhere like that, you run into those guys. So it's cool to see the community of you guys at Albemarle. All of you guys, man, are such good people, such nice people, easy to talk to, and all of you guys love racing just like anybody you're going to find watching this show or any other show about racing or on TV watching NASCAR. But as far as another question, for you guys, it's a little different than Capital City. You guys have the track directly next door, and you also have the motocross track. So what all do they come to you guys and tell you we have events on these days and we can't have you at the racetrack, or how does that go?
We actually, all three of us sit down at the beginning of the year and try to. The way it normally works, the car track runs every Friday, so we don't really have to worry about them on Saturday, except people wanting to park on Friday nights for VDK and have it. And then the motocross track, they run about 8 or 10 races a year. So they actually start real early and go real late. So they aren't on top of us a lot, but we close for their events. So we got a couple days we're off. They're some of the smarter people. They don't race in July and August when it's 100+ degrees. So they're off for 2 months for that. So, but Red, this year he's got 2 truck pools coming on Saturday night, so we had to close for them. So that put us, our September's really slim. We only get 1 race in between being closed for VDKA, the truck pool, and then motocross event.
Okay. And have you guys thought about running any kart races on that car track?
Any what races?
Any kart races on the car track, on the big track?
Red keeps talking about it, and I've actually Taylor and I both have raced around it. We've run limiteds around it before. He does kids in carts a couple times a year, and you can take pretty much whatever cart you want to out there and run it. And it's fun to go around, but I mean, he would have to groom it specifically for carts, and the safety. It's a lot of safety issues over there that I wasn't super comfortable with about the carts running around it.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all on that. You know, safety comes first in karting, even though it's sometimes we take it a little bit for granted. You know, when we're running around concrete walls, we just want to race, but safety does need to come first. And I asked Chris also, and I'm going to ask you, what brought you into being a race promoter, man? What made you want to do that?
I think we were all at the track one day, and somebody said something about being president. Everybody stepped back, and I didn't know I was supposed to. I'm not. It just how it worked out. Somebody left, and I told him I would do it for the time being, and the time being has been probably 8 or plus years now. All the guys who've been there forever have set a record. So nobody's been president as long as I have.
Well, you've done a pretty good job, man. Especially that, you know, bringing bigger events like the Halloween Havoc and getting VDKA to put you guys on the schedule. What went into that when you guys got put on the VDKA schedule?
Actually the last president and vice president had worked on that pretty good. So by the time I stepped in, it wasn't a done deal, but they were watching us. They were already looking at us. So, but it took some work from them, I think, and you know, we went through the whole one race probation thing, and they liked it. I mean, everybody tries real hard to keep everything straight down there and make everything run good and keep people happy. So the track and the people promote itself once they come there, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that. Like I said, Tate being your track guy, you kind of know, you can distinguish who's doing what job down there at you guys' club, and that I think is an important thing that you need to be able to do when you walk into a racetrack as a racer or as a spectator. But let's see, classes that you guys run on a normal Saturday night. So I know you guys have a little bit different classes than Capital City. You guys have Flathead Champ and some classes like that. So if someone comes to you,
Flathead Champ we cut out last year.
Oh.
We got them all to switch to Animal.
Okay.
So they're all on Animal Champ now. So we tried to get away from the Flatheads because everybody's getting away from them. I mean, that it's hard for other people to come race with us. It's hard for our people to go anywhere else, which that's, you know, some people have problems with that. They don't want their people going anywhere and racing anywhere else. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think they know where their home is. They know where their favorite track is. They go race somewhere else. I mean, we get rained out and Capital's racing. I tell everybody, you know, Capital's still racing. Run up there if you want to still race. And if they're on Flathead, you know, like the Flathead Champs or Flathead Carts, they couldn't do that. So we're Animal Champ, and then we've got clones from 350 to 425 the Predators. Some of them want to run EL, some of them want to run pink. So we got both of those. So we started a novice class towards the end of last year, something for adults that are getting into the sport that haven't raced to not have to race against people who've been doing it for 15 years or something.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to have. But the catch lately that you see in like amateur classes and stuff like that is that you have guys that are going out and finishing second in the national championship race, and because they didn't win a bunch of money, they can go run amateur.
Yeah,
and that's I tried it myself for a while, and I was a 5th or 6th place guy. I was okay, but that's even amateurs getting to be a tough class to run in, especially the clones have really taken over, and it's the animal champ is about the only other animal you'll see a lot, except for the big events like me and Chris were talking animal sprint. I think you guys have it at the Havoc, and then you have the limiteds and stuff like that at the Havoc. So what also made you guys decide to run limiteds at the Havoc event?
Some of our guys a few years back got geared up running limiteds. We had a Saturday night limited class there for a while. It kind of fell off. 2019, I think, was the last year we had it. But we'd have 8 or so limiteds run on Saturday nights. So we figured we'd put in Havoc. Everybody was kind of pulling for it. So
yeah, that was a pretty big class at Havoc. You had guys, Steven Adams and Yarborough and all those guys running it. That was a big class. And as far as when you got your lineup, your class lineup together for that event, was there a class that you wanted yourself to have in there, other than limited? Was there a class that you wanted to have in there?
I don't think particularly. I really try to
maybe Taylor.
Really try to think of the racers and not give the racers what they want, but what they need, because the racers are their own worst enemy.
Yeah,
they want this and they want that, and that's why we're paying clones are thousands of dollars, and if they don't stop with the Predator stuff, they're going to be thousands of dollars. It's on the same path as the clones were. So I'm a firm believer in the Predators coming out of the box and not being able to do all that stuff to them, because they're almost impossible to detect.
Yeah, I remember when the clone was like that right out of the box, with the little weenie pipe, just like the juniors run now. And there was a tire rule where they had the tire sniffer. You couldn't run any kind of prep.
Yep.
And man, we've come such a long way from that. Like when everything started changing from the ELs to the big pipes to all of that, how fast did all that come down on you guys at Albemarle? Like, did it one season and you guys go from little pipe EL to big pipe, pink maxes?
No, I feel like with us kind of being stuck in the corner, stuff progresses slower. I mean, I could probably tell them we were going to run a flathead class, and those guys would go dust off their flatheads and go back to them in a minute.
I mean, I might, but
it took. I mean, down there, for our Saturday night guys, Saturday night guys, I guarantee some of them will still do it. But I know for a fact that I was one of the first ones down there trying to run the BSB box stock project to kick that class off.
Now, also remember it progressed from builder prepared, or from box stock to builders prepared. Did that happen at about the same time for you guys? Or was the box stock project a thing for about a year?
It took a while. Everything that goes on, I feel like I don't want to say we're a year behind, but we're probably a year behind. They don't. The people who run Saturday nights at Albemarle run Saturday nights at Albemarle. They don't care what goes on, at Capital or Tri-County or wherever else as far as how things are progressing. They get, I don't want to say they're stuck in their ways, but they get what they're doing. They like doing it and stay that way. It's harder to get them to change most of the time than probably some other places.
So I have someone else posted a question on here, Tommy Jeter. He asked, the LO206 motors, he's seen them running on ovals down south. I've seen them up north, pretty popular. He said, if there's any interest, could those be run there?
My personal opinion, from what I've seen of them and know about them, I think they're a great idea. I like them a lot. So yeah, But I wouldn't want to get back to where we have too many motors at the track, too many engines at the track. It'll spread out the classes too thin.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's good, and I think that's what what you and Chris have done with the flathead class. It's unfortunate it's gone, but it's just something that you might get 6 or 7 guys, and whereas clone you'll get 28 guys at a big event.
Yep.
Animal at the big events is a big thing, but you can't count on that class. Animal sprint, you can't count on that class on a regular weekly basis.
Right.
Animal champ and your clone heavy classes, things like that. I know that's the classes you guys can rely on pretty heavily. And I wanted to ask you also, so maybe bigger names like Jared Jackson. I know Albemarle's his home track, and living as close to there as those guys do. Is there something that, like, do you guys try and maybe put up money in a bigger class, like on a Saturday night? Do you guys do money classes on a Saturday night every now and then?
Well, what we've been trying to do, instead of advertising money classes every week, what we actually do is take a list of our classes, put on a chip, and we draw out of a hat every week 2 classes, and those classes get $100 each. And that way it's not advertised. So if somebody doesn't want to come there to try to win any money, our Saturday night people are getting money back, and they don't know who it is until they actually walk up to the payout window. So
yeah, and that's smart. So I know your daughter Taylor is racing, and you said you wanted to focus on racing with her a little bit more, step back a little bit. Is there any kind of events that you guys, other than your home track of Albemarle, is there any events, maybe something a little further down south, you guys had in mind of running this year?
we're definitely going back to Charlotte. She really liked the big track at Charlotte. She ran real good there, and we're going back there for sure.
Yeah, it's good.
We're going to run VDK. We plan on running animal sprint VDK, but like I said, we're going to try to stay closer to home. Last year we ran all over the East Coast with Wes from everywhere. Wes goes everywhere. I don't think there's anywhere he doesn't go, but we ran all over with him last year. That was a really good time. We had a great time doing that.
Yeah, it's good to see Connor coming back around too. I know he had his accident last year. He's such a good kid, man. And you guys, like I said, Wes and you and Tate and all you guys have such good people surrounding you too. And Wes's kid Connor is such a humble kid, and the kid goes out and runs against some of the best in the country. And being in Virginia and North Carolina, a lot of the best in the country come from our surrounding areas. Monk Newsom and Wes himself was, he's a pretty big name guy, and Richard Noblet, all those guys. So how does it feel to you when those guys come out and they go win nationals and they go put Albemarle's name out there, that's their home track, and they come back? Do you think that's helped you guys a lot in bringing more people in?
I think so. Between our people going out and running good, and Wes knowing so many people is a big shot in the arm. The people that we do know, the people that have come there that we've impressed, and going back out, we've had people. I remember a real big name guy come for Max's race we had years ago, and the track was horrible. Not due to our fault; it was another fault out of our control. But he complained and complained. It's terrible. I'm never coming back. And then he came back for one of the Havoc races, and now every time he leaves, he stops and talks to us and tells us how great the track is. And if you have the big name people coming and running Havoc and going out and telling, this is a great track, you need to try it. I've had different series promoters, when they're talking to us, talk to us about how such and such told them the track was so good and things like that.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed coming down to Albemarle and myself, and I know, I haven't had the best of luck there, but the facility you guys run, the people there, everything, it makes it worth coming down there 100% of the time. I never leave regretting coming down to Albemarle Speedway. Even if I finish last, I had a bad day of racing, but at least I got to watch some pretty cool racing.
Had a good time, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome seeing all of you guys down there and how you work together. And have you guys thought about making any changes potentially to the facility, adding anything, doing a little bit here and there?
We try to. We we're a club, so all the money that we get, we actually sink back into something,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. But we constantly try to improve. We'll be out there like tomorrow. Tomorrow we're having work day, and we'll be out there walking around. I'll be talking about something because I set long-term goals. I set goals that aren't, this year. It might not be next year. It might be 5 years down the road. But I have long-term plans for different stuff around there as we get the money and we get the time. And I think that's one of the things that helps us a lot is I constantly strive to keep the racers in mind and what improvements I can make to make it better for the racers. And that's what I feel is helped a lot and continues to help it.
Yeah, and for sure, having long-term goals. I know you said you're trying to take a step back, but I don't having long-term goals, Doug. I don't know if you're going anywhere, man. You
I'm not
sound like
going anywhere.
you sound like you want to stay doing this.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. I'm just not going to be the guy plunging the toilets on Saturday night.
We'll make sure we give Chris that heads up. That's him.
But that's I mean, this, like last year we went through some scoring problems last year and different people scored. I spent a lot of time in the scoring tower last year, and that's one of the reasons trying to get Tiffany in there. She's done it before. I think she can jump in there and do it pretty good, and it'll give me more time to spend racing with Taylor.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
I'm not going anywhere. I've had probably most of the gray hair I have is from stuff at Albemarle. That's the only place that can get me stressed.
That's a good and bad thing, man.
Yep.
It means you care.
Yep. Definitely care about it.
Well, I want to give you some time here at the end. If you got anything you want to promote or anything like that at Albemarle, I know you guys have your regular season starting up. When's the first race?
Supposed to be March 27th, end of this month. Practice next weekend supposed to be.
All right,
and all that stuff holds out.
And when's the first VDKA race down there for you guys?
Into April 24th, I think.
Okay, I'll look on and share all that on the page so everybody can have that. And like I said, I wanted to get. Is there anything you wanted to let everybody know, or anything you wanted to bring up?
I mean, Havoc is October 30th. Havoc October 30th. That's our big race. Anytime you want to come race with us, you're welcome to come. Please come visit us.
And I'll definitely be down there too.
They sometimes they get mad at me, but like Chris said, he's in March. Don't forget his spring gobbler. He's coming up next, so definitely got to promote Chris. Get him geared up right here at the start. He's not far out. 3 weeks out. 2 weeks out.
Yep, and we're going to be trying. I think we're going to be hitting all the big events at both of you guys' tracks this year. So it'll be nice to see you guys there, and talk to all the crews, and I might get a little quick interview with you at the track see if we can grab some information there too. I know things change live on the race day.
Yeah, this is probably my first Facebook Live, definitely first interview. So,
well, I'm glad it was with me. I think a lot of you and Chris, I've known you guys for a long time, and I've been through the up and down of the career, and I've seen kind of both sides of it. And you and Chris, like I said, have been two guys that I've been able to talk to on a regular, whether I was on this side or that side of it. So I just want to say before we get off of here, I really appreciate you coming on here. And like I said, I'm glad the first one was with me. So we're going to keep growing and see if we can make this thing a big thing. Maybe we'll get you back down the road.
Yep.
You and Taylor both.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And Tate said call Wes for parking too, by the way.
Yeah, we'll put that up there soon. So Wes, charge your phone.
But all right, guys, we're gonna let Doug go and check out Albemarle Speedway's Facebook page. I'm gonna share all the information. Check out Capital City's page. I'm gonna share all their information. Halloween Havoc for Albemarle's coming up in October. Check out their VDK races, their weekly series, things like that. And same thing for Capital City. I'll be trying to share all the information I can on these guys because we really appreciate them coming on, and we want to show them all the support and promotion that we can. But all right, Doug, thanks for coming on. We'll catch you again here soon. All right.
All right. Thank you, Robin.
All right, guys. So end of episode 2. I think it went pretty well. Thank you all you guys for commenting on here. We got some questions on here. Tate, you stayed on here. Taylor, you stayed on here too. Tommy, Chris, Lee, all you guys following along. Thank you guys for the comments, the information, the questions. I think this was pretty great. We're going to see if we can keep going, and pretty exciting for the show announcement for next week. We got we're going to have a late model episode for next Friday at 6 p.m. We're going to have Mr. Austin Thaxton from South Boston on at 6 o'clock. And thank you, Pete. We're promoting VDKA too. We want to check out all our series and all our tracks. We're going to be pushing these guys. So, but yeah, next week, Austin Thaxton on at 6 o'clock. We'll announce the second guest at 6:30, but it's a late model episode. So hope you guys are as excited as I am. And we'll be back on then. And like I said, I'll be sharing the page information of all these different things, Capital City, Albemarle, the big events, the flyers. I'll even share VDK stuff on here since, we were talking about it. And I hope you guys learned something like I did about these race promoters. I'm glad we got to get them on here. It was pretty cool to get to talk to Doug and to Chris, two really good guys. They're working on promoting series, events, Saturday nights, and they're kind of doing a little different than the other is. One's running for their points on Saturday nights and random draw for money races, and the other one you're running for money every week. So if you want to check out either of those, like I said, I'll share the links. Make sure you see when they're racing, and they both do different events. So you can check out Friday nights at Dixieland at the car track, and then check out the kart track on Saturday. Or you can check out, Capital City does the lawnmowers. They do flat track motorcycles. They do things like that. So always good racing at these two places. I'm so glad I got these two guys on here. Awesome tracks. Awesome. And like I said, really excited for next week. Austin Thaxton going to be on, and I'll announce the second guest on Tuesday. So follow along, and Speed Shady Show. And then for episode 2, we'll see you guys later.